Good evening and welcome to the Planning Board meeting of August 13th. As you all are aware, tonight's meeting is televised over the community television station, just for information of all those that are here and the board members. With that, I will entertain a motion for the meeting minutes from last meeting. Motion by John to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting, seconded by Babe. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 4. We have 181P plan on tonight. It's Milton Cat, 330 East Main Street.
I'm Jeff Reed. I work with Colby Company. We're the firm that had prepared the plan
Okay, if you can go through it.
and the application.
You have,
Hold on, do you have a plan?
I'm sorry. Sorry, I brought extra copies here. I have up on the board here.
Yep.
And what we have is 2 parcels currently owned by Milton Cat. There's Lot 16 and Lot 6. Lot 16 is showing up on the board here. It's actually a combination of the outline in pink and the outline in yellow. The yellow portion is a leased portion of the lot. The existing lease line is the boundary that's shown. What we're proposing to do with this 81P plan is to convert that lease line into a new lot line. There's been a party expressed interest in purchasing that portion of the lot. So what this plan will do would be to turn the lease line into a property line. The existing parcel in the yellow becomes a standalone lot as Lot 16. The back portion of Lot 16 with the current address is 100 Quarry Drive. The pink becomes combined with the other Milton Cat parcel in the blue and becomes a new single lot. So we basically have 2 lots with a new lot line.
which building is that the former A.J. Knott building, the one next to it?
No, this is the A.J. Knott building's down on Fortune Boulevard at 179. This is that 425 existing building that abuts onto 330 East Main, the old A.J.
Oh, okay, okay. down
It's
there,
right
yeah,
behind
yeah,
that big pond.
Yeah, it's the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the A.J. Knott building.
Yeah, it's down
That's
the other
our-
side, yeah. I
our
saw Fortune
systems.
Boulevard
Yeah.
coming off, and I saw the road. I couldn't read which road it was, and I
Yep.
thought that was California Boulevard going into Stop and Shop, but now I can see it's East Main Street.
When this was originally developed,
Yeah.
Fortune Boulevard to have access to Core Drive. So all we have here is a 99-year land lease. We don't own the building, and we're looking at shedding that land lease so that that can move along.
Okay.
It's endorsable as submitted.
Any other questions from the board? With that, I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Babe to have Larry sign the 81P. Second? Seconded by John. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 4.
Thank you.
What, huh?
You want the drawings back? You could have.
Did you sign the form?
You want, yeah,
I signed
You
it.
can have them if you want.
No,
You want them?
yeah, might as well.
that's okay, whatever.
Thank you.
They got
Yep.
enough paper.
Yeah, Larry's gonna need the,
3 copies, 3 prints.
yeah, Larry's gonna need the signed ones
He
afterwards.
needs one to sign.
Well, he signed it, but he's gonna need a copy of the signed one back afterwards.
It's for me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a
You're
great
welcome.
Good night.
You all set, Karen?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is site plan waiver for 81 Prospect Street, Peter Ferrelli. I'll read the town planner's letter in, and then I believe Mr. Ferrelli's here. The applicant requests site plan waiver to allow for the reconfiguration of the used car display area at the above listed site, which is 81 Prospect Street. as shown on the attached site sketch. There are no additional changes proposed to the building. The last approved site plan, which was in 2007, facilitated a used car sales business that occupied the southerly approximately 4,000 square feet of the property. That location necessitated the closure of the southerly driveway on Prospect Street. Since that time, the property has been utilized in a manner that did not comply with the site plan in either number or location of the vehicles displayed for sale, and the driveway was never closed. Recently, the ZBA granted a special permit for a different used car dealer to use that portion of the property. That special permit was initially based on the 2007 site plan and set a limit of 15 unregistered vehicles as the maximum number for the site. The applicant is requesting the current site plan waiver to reduce the display area to 2,100 square feet, thereby limiting the number of vehicles to 10, as shown on the attached plans, which we have copies of. With this new configuration, the closure of the southerly driveway on Prospect Street is no longer necessary. The applicant is further proposing additional conditions on the property to include prohibiting junk vehicles, prohibiting outdoor repairs and other vehicle boat storage, etc. Therefore, I recommend for waiver of the site plan be approved. We also have a letter from the town engineer who's reviewed the waiver of site plan. The request, again, same as before, the previously approved use of the site plan was identical to that being currently proposed, except that the display of 15 cars for sale was allowed. This request reduces that to 10. I have no objections. The rest of the package is the application for waiver. With that, I'll ask Mr. Ferrelli to,
Yeah, the 11 by 17 on the table is the,
yeah, this is the plan as the applicant currently suggests. Mr. Ferrelli?
Yes. Just before I went to the hospital, the owner of the garage asked me if you get a permit for a couple of cars. I said, well, you have to get a permit. So since then, I've been in the hospital 4 or 5 months, and back again, I found out that this Ralph Mondley, Swiss Duncan, had rented a section of the garage. So I said, does he know he can't park the cars along West Street? He said, well, it's none of your business, you got the permit. I go, wait a minute, none of my business. Now I found out he can park the cars, 22 cars or 20 cars, I don't know what it was. So I told him I was bringing it back to the old days, 10 cars. No cars located on junk cars, cars that are not running on the lot. He had to clean the yard up, no boats stored. And he had to clean the grease trap every 3 months. That's the floor trap in the garage now. To me, I blocked that up once because the state said it was illegal. Now, I don't know if it's illegal or not. Who do I find that out from? The floor drain.
plumbing inspector.
Well, yeah, the plumbing inspector, you can come to the building department here and ask the plumbing inspector.
So he didn't like the 10 cars, but I said, I don't even know who this fella is when I came out. And the storage of cars, no storage, no boat, no vehicles, no repairs outside the garage, and only 10 cars. So I told him, I said, then his lawyer called up and says, well, he's got a permit. He said he's on commercial property. I said, no, he's on residential. How come he's paying, well, he pays commercial taxes, but he's on residential. So the lawyer gave me a little static, so I said, come down, I'm gonna change it. So I changed it to this.
But I guess that'll be part of your lease going forward
There's no
with
lease,
them. Oh, no?
and that's what I gave him. So he said I couldn't do it. I said, I don't know why not. The only thing with him, with that original drawing that he got brought in and it was approved, can I destroy that? He said it's public property. Well, see, this happened to me once before, excuse me. And the lawyer said, well, it's been passed. I said, wait a minute now. I just did it all over again. He said, well, how come this one is just on file? I said, I don't know. Can I have that destroyed? It's my signature on it.
It's in the,
It's public record.
it's public record, it's in the files.
So I
There's
can go
nothing
through
we
the
can do
same
that.
thing I did before with lawyers.
Now, this, if they approve this, this will supersede that.
Does this kill it?
Yeah,
This,
that's what I just told you.
this is the last site plan for the site. If it doesn't comply to this, it's illegal. You can go back
Can I
and
get some kind of a seal on this?
you'll get a signature
get it
on,
part of the decision.
on the drawing, on this drawing, which is
Yeah.
what we sign, or which I will need to
I think
sign.
he wants to include the notes that he just, I think he wants to include some notes on it, is what I think he's asking.
Well, he'll get the cover sheet.
Because I
for
don't
the-
even know this fellow, and he's after me.
I'm confused. Do you own the property or
Yeah.
you renting the property?
I do.
He's
You don't
on,
know who's
I
okay.
do with that one. But when I was in the hospital, there's another name on it.
There's 2 or 3 subleases out is part of the problem. So it's gotten,
They said they tried to get a hold of me. I said, well, you didn't call Brigham Women's. So I don't know. I just didn't know why I couldn't destroy it because I didn't want to go through this like years ago. He said he's paying commercial
well,
taxes.
Well,
Why
he is
can't-
running the business out of this, so yes, he is paying, he is running a business out of this, so he is paying the commercial rate.
Well, that's why, but again, it's state residential. That's what the lawyer was giving me a hard time on.
that's because that's what it's
I
zoned.
said
is
it's been
zoned
like that for
residential.
years.
Yeah.
So if
It's
you
a-
let them vote
It's an
on it-
existing non-conforming use.
How many?
It's an existing non-conforming use. It's in a residential zone, but it's been a commercial forever.
I think it's over 50 years, really,
I,
which I didn't care anyway,
yeah,
but he
it's
brings it
been
up.
as long as I remember.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion for the waiver of the site plan, and to also include, so that he has better comfort as far as his enforcement towards his tenants, that it's the permits for the 10 cars as written, with the, no storage of no outside storage, and no repairs, and no sign located on the west side along Prospect to 140.
Excuse me, wait a minute. That plan that was the rental, can I have a stamp put on to rejected?
No.
No, this one.
No, this supersedes it.
This'll
Wait,
work.
this site, yes.
This supersedes that.
This is the only plan, that's enforceable now, this one.
All right. I've been through it before with lawyers. That's why they always dig up something else, says, well,
Well,
the
this'll
plan's
take
in
care of it.
file.
This'll take care of it.
I'll second.
Last
Pat's-
one in is what it amounts to. This will be,
I'll
this is the plan that'll be on file.
right.
I'll
Okay.
second Pat's motion.
Motion by Pat to approve the waiver of site plan, subject to the stipulations that were in Mr. Farrelly's letter to the board that included 10 cars, no sale signs or cars located on West Street, no storage of junk vehicles, no repairs outside of the garage. In the parking lot, the grease trap needs to be cleaned.
I can't do the last
No
one.
rent or sublease, yeah, we
I can't
can't,
do
yeah,
that one.
the bottom one won't, we can't be
can't
subject to
enforce
rent or
the last one.
sublease. That's not our issue. That's between you and him in terms of rental and sub-rental. We can't be, the board can't be a part of rental agreements. That's not within our purview.
Yeah, but he can't put 30 cars in there.
No, he can
No,
put 10
no, put
cars.
10.
You can go 10.
There's 10 cars,
That's
but,
the
but,
well, he's got a permit right now for 22. That's why I'm changing it.
yeah,
Or 20.
Doesn't matter, it'll be 10 now.
but we can't, the last one that you stated is a reference to a lease or a sublease. The board has no jurisdiction to
No,
purview
I didn't
your
care
lease
about that
between him
part
or not.
anyway, really.
So it's seconded by John. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 4. How many do we need, Larry?
Why don't you do 4?
You want mine back?
Might as well.
Here's a couple
I
more.
think there's an original, so,
That way Peter can take one with him.
Yep.
Here's your 4.
I hired him to help out in the building department and zoning enforcement.
Not much, how about you?
Good.
Okay, Peter, you get one of those, one of the signed ones. One of those is for you. Yeah, Jan him that one.
Yeah, I don't need, we're all set with those.
Pick up his pen that he dropped.
So they signed. No, it isn't, doesn't get
Doesn't get stamped. It's just a signature.
They signed it, it's done, it's all done. There you go. You're all set.
Larry, his copies.
It's gonna be our new zoning officer. Our assistant zoning.
Next is, it's a site plan waiver, continuous site plan waiver for Russet Rentals LLC, 42 Pine Street.
Good evening, everyone.
Did I give that to you?
Oh, this
Oh,
one's
good, because I don't see it. I'm looking. Got it. There you go. Pass those down, so we have something big enough to look at.
Thank you, David.
One's fine.
Go ahead, David.
So, my name's David Bertinazi. I'm here on behalf of Russell Rentals LLC. His principal is Robert Ruggiero. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to attend this evening. He's seeking, well, it is seeking a site plan waiver in connection with the property at 42 Pine Street. And the purpose is to utilize the basement area. It's 2,640 square feet for business and professional office use. I think you're pretty much all familiar with the property. It's in its location. The major sort of impediment to his doing this has been the issue of the handicap accessibility. Initially, the proposal was to provide accessibility or access along the existing driveway, and that proved to be problematic because of the pitch and the length of the driveway. So the proposal now is to construct a handicap ramp along the other side of the building that would be compliant, ADA compliant, and would provide access to the rear of the building where the entrances are. And the plan has been circulated among the various town boards and has seemed to have met, including the Commission on Disability, and seems to have met with universal satisfaction.
For the business, that's the town law. That's what the zoning approved.
Yeah, this was through zoning.
Yeah, there was a special permit that was granted on it in February that permitted the use.
Yeah, a second special permit. The first special permit was to
Build it.
reconstruct, and then, yeah.
Yeah, it was to tear down the old structure and build a new one.
Where's the parking for the business?
There is no parking,
Okay, so it's on
dedicated
the,
parking for the business.
it's on the parking lot next door, which is the town parking.
Right.
It's actually in the street.
Oh, the street as
There's-
well.
There's a handicap, the closest handicap space is across the street.
There's a street in front, there's a handicap place, dedicated handicap parking spot directly across the street in front of.
His apartment house.
There's a church or something.
That's I think it's directly in front of the temple.
Yeah, it's in front of the temple.
And there's also around the corner, there are some dedicated handicap parking spaces. But in that zoning district, commercial uses aren't required to have off-street parking.
Yeah, this plan will provide for the adjustment of the striping in the parking lot and back. It was originally striped improperly to begin with, so that had never been in compliance. And then that came to light when this whole additional use of the basement
As the
came in.
additional, right, as the addition, in the initial approval, those are dedicated spots for the 5 units in the
Correct.
in the
Tenants.
multifamily.
Yeah, the
And they're
tenants.
stacked. There's 2 lots, there's 2 spots, stacked spots per unit.
Yep.
And, sorry, I keep moving on. And those are dedicated spots as conditions to the grant of the initial zoning relief.
Yeah, for the residents.
Correct.
So this should satisfy all of the various requirements, finally.
A 4-foot deep hole, what's the requirement for a back slope on it? Can it be, is it one to one? Or, I'm just thinking of the wall, just making sure this can actually get in. It's 4 foot deep, so it comes up vertical 1 foot and then 1 to 1 for 3 feet?
Yeah.
So we need to be 4 feet back, which it looks like he has, just enough.
Yeah, he's tight.
Yeah. Yeah, just barely.
It looks like he just barely makes it if I'm looking at this correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't have much to spare, it doesn't look like.
No, I was just wondering whether he needed an easement or not. I was worried about whether this was constructible as shown, but I think it is, but just barely. Any other questions from the board?
Unless you want to go through the letters, I didn't know if you
Oh,
wanted
actually, I
to.
should go through the letters so that they go into the record.
You going on the landing, on the upper part of the landing, not the, yes,
Both of them the same, they're both 4 foot, they're both 4 foot deep to the,
yeah, 4 foot deep is, that's on all sides. And
Yeah.
then the rest of it, it doesn't, you can go up to 10 feet without reinforcing, so.
no, but I'm worried about the cut on the backside of the slope to make sure he gets
Oh,
in on the
just one,
property,
yeah,
so.
okay,
One would,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's, what, it's 3 feet you can go vertical and then it has to go 1 to 1? Is it? It's been a while since I've been on the field. The applicant requests a site plan waiver. This is a letter from the town planner. Mr. Bertnazzi's already gone over the first section. Based on prior deficiencies in providing handicapped access to the basement level, the applicant has been successfully continued since May. The current plan revised 7/31/13 appears to now comply with the accessibility requirements, given the proposed installation of a ramp system on the west side of the building. The current plan also adjusts the parking lot striping to meet the intent of the original requirements and also eliminates the irregular rear building line. Therefore, I recommend approval of the site plan waiver request. Letter from town engineer. The proposed change of the use on the side includes a conversion of the basement area to office space. I have not identified any engineering concerns related to the proposed site use. Filing with the Conservation Commission is not required. Highway has reviewed and finds it to be satisfactory. Fire Department has no objections. The plan is acceptable as submitted. Sewer Commission unanimously voted to approve the amended site plan. The Water Company sees no conflict or issues proposed to existing water utility infrastructure. Approves as submitted. And the Conservation on Disability, it appears this plan addresses all commission concerns that were outlined in their 7:30 memo.
I just attached.
And
it.
then the memo is
Yeah.
attached, so we don't need to go through those.
I'll make
And then we have a
motion-
copy of the zoning decision.
I'll make a motion to waive the site plan.
Motion by Pat to,
Waive the
approve
site
the,
plan.
yeah,
Well, it's actually a waiver.
Wa-
It's been so long, but it is still a waiver.
yeah, waive the, site plan. Waive, do I hear a second? Seconded by Babe. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 4.
Thank you.
Want to come back?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to wait for this? or-
I don't either, but, well, the parking was ours. We told him to do that. Told him when he was supposed to have the parking. But the zoning board
That was
granted
the zoning
it, so
board,
there's
yeah, what
nothing
are
we
you
can
gonna
do.
do? That's why it's a waiver.
If you don't want it, I can stick it in my car.
They should have never granted it.
Well, that's what I was doing.
You can do.
No, that's what we can do now. It is what it is.
David, you want these back?
You don't need all these, right?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. This is amended site plan for 119 East Main Street, Thai Tran.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Here to present a amended site plan for 119 to 121 East Main Street. With me here today are Mr. and Mrs. Tran, who are the applicants for the proposal. There's existing 2 buildings on the property right now. This building here is an existing 2-story wood frame building. It's got a retail on the first floor with residential on the second floor. The back building is a 2-story metal building. It was the Redemption Center. It was previously used as the by the Redemption Center. The applicant is proposing to convert this to a pool hall. Everybody, I don't know if we can envision Mooney's 2 or not, but it's gonna be, they wanna put a pool hall in here. Changes to the plan include restriping the entire parking area, the installation of curb stops at the parking spaces, the installation of a handicap sign with bollard, also an extension of a handicap ramp in this area here. Renovations to the building would be to eliminate the 2 existing doors which actually open onto the 4-foot sidewalk, which would prohibit pedestrian traffic or could impede pedestrian traffic if they come through, and constructing a new proposed indented entryway so that the opening of the doorways would not conflict with the traffic on the sidewalk. There's been previous zoning waivers that were issued, or variances have been issued to this property as far as parking goes, and with that variance in the parking that we proposed, it puts us in compliance with the number of spaces that we need. And that's it. There's no other changes proposed. That we're not proposing any additional pavement, just to restripe what's there and make it more compliant. And that's pretty much it.
I'll read the staff letters in. From the town planner, the applicant requests approval amended site plan to allow for the change of use in the first floor commercial space of the subject property. A bar and pool hall is being proposed in the former Redemption Center space. The zoning board of appeals has granted a 12-space parking variance in 1982 for the commercial use of the overall property. That variance is attached to our packet. The applicant is proposing 19 off-street parking spaces, including 2 handicap spaces, and a new handicapped accessible ramp to the sidewalk at the front of the building. The main entrance to the bar pool hall is to be recessed to provide adequate handicapped access. Also, the building at 121 East Main is situated on the same lot and has been included in the parking calculations to establish zoning compliance. The amended site plan as presented complies with all applicable zoning requirements, including parking is provided under the aforementioned variance. Therefore, I recommend approval, subject to relevant agency comments. Letter from Bonnie Reese, the town engineer. I reviewed the amended site plan request filed on behalf of the owner at 119 East Main Street. Request is to revise the use of the building on the site. Site is in a commercially zoned area and was previously granted a variance. Proposed change is to convert one of the buildings to pool hall bar to make improvements to the on-site parking. The site does not allow the required number of parking spaces. However, the variance was granted for the conditions. I recommend approval of the amended site plan. Conservation Commission is not required. Filing is not required for this site. Highway surveyor has found the plan satisfactory. Commission on Disability. His comments are there's a raised sidewalk under the second floor overhang, working with an existing ramp to the left of the access parking space. The 8-foot access aisle would be on a more direct route if it were placed to the left of the accessible parking space. This would directly connect the access aisle to the existing ramp. The existing ramp should dimensionally conform to 521 CMR, that's a building.
And that's what we've done here.
You've moved it?
Yep,
They
we
didn't
moved it.
realize they were gonna provide 2 handicap spaces at the time he did that review,
Okay.
so it meets their requirements now. I think all of the doorways are gonna stay, it's just that the new main entrance needs to be recessed for handicap accessibility. The other 2 doors,
Gonna still
the
stay there?
end one, yeah, the
Okay.
end one goes to the upstairs,
Oh, okay.
and the next to the end one goes into the new bar area. So that,
Okay.
and there's 2 handicap signs, the
One in front of each parking spot?
yeah, that's just a typical
Right.
Where are those,
location, so
where are
there's
those gonna be
actually 2.
mounted, Larry?
Right behind the curb stop
Okay.
Well, they'll be right up against the
The sidewalk.
sidewalk,
sidewalk,
yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions from the board?
I have a question.
Mhm.
In 82, when they got the parking variance, what was the use of the proposed use? I'm looking at this quickly.
I don't remember now.
It says, business office and retail sales and service. The reason why I ask is, again, I understand that they're gonna be deficient in parking, but the use way back when would have certainly supported having reduced parking. This being a bar and pool hall, I question if 19 spots is really going to, I don't think it will.
Well, if you add the 12 spaces, if you look at the chart, 31 is the required number of spaces. You subtract the 12 that they got a variance from, that means they have to provide 19
19.
on the site. So,
Yeah.
that, and when the variance was done in 1982, that was before the parking regulations had been updated, so they were requiring even more spaces then than we do now.
No, I understand, but I'm just, again, I'm just trying to rationalize what they possibly would have done in 82. That's all I'm just trying to do. And I understand what you're telling me, and I understand how the math works in theory, but the use today and the use in 82, I think, are significantly different. That's what I'm saying.
You'd probably find it tough to find 19 people who know how to play pool today. With an actual pool table and a cue.
I don't know about that.
Well, our age, yeah, we know how.
Listen, a lot of people know how to play pool. I mean, let's not undermine people, for God's sake. But again, I mean,
There's some business machines back there, well,
I think they used
One
to, and,
point they
and
did.
and at one point, I think the front building was, the cell phone company. Verizon, I think, was there.
Larry can tell
Yeah,
us.
he's going, yeah, that was semi-recently, that's way back.
Yeah.
I guess the comment only addresses to the fact that is the variant, is the variance still as is, considering the use that the variance granted changed?
Yeah, they granted a
The variance to
12,
the property.
they granted a 12 space parking variance. So,
goes to the property.
it's
To the property,
irrespective
not
of
the
Irrespective of
use
use after the fact that
after
they
the fact,
granted?
Right.
Okay, so I guess that answers that question, even though you
It
may
does,
have,
but-
you
but
may have
I-
an issue, but I understand your issue to a certain extent, but I don't know that we have a,
I have no leg to stand on, but I'm gonna tell you, it's problematic.
yeah, it could easily
It's
be.
problematic, and you're gonna have,
Well, it's gonna be difficult using these spaces too, that's the other thing. You know, everybody's gonna look here and then, you know, these are there,
They'll
but they're
be
not easy to
theirs,
get there.
Yeah, and some of those are
But-
dedicated to, two of them have to be dedicated to the residence that's upstairs in the house in front.
this is why you truly don't have, but again, no problem, hey.
There's not much we can say. Any other comments from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion for site plan we.
Motion by Babe to grant the
Amended.
amended site plan. That's right. Do I hear a second?
Oh, God.
What's it?
I don't want to.
Your turn.
I think I just did the one before. All right, I'll do it.
Motion by Babe, seconded by Pat. Sort of. I know, but I don't know that we have a choice.
We don't have a choice, but this is posing a problem.
Yeah.
It will turn into a problem.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 4. Well, it's still, yeah, that's right, you still gotta go before the selectmen.
Skip to number 7,
Yeah, that's fine.
number 6 still has
David? It's the site plan waiver for 52 Main Street, the town hall. Applicant is David Morganelli.
So what's being proposed is a farmer's market, this parking lot right behind you. Hopefully it'll be enough of a success that we can do it. Hopefully, we can do this so it'll be enough of a success that we can do it on consecutive Saturdays from 9 to 1 through the end of September, hopefully. Larry helped me put together the plan. And right now, we're trying to get vendors interested, and I think the right idea, and I kind of agree with Larry, is to start small. Hopefully it takes off.
And if it's a big enough of a success, we can always move it to a different site and deal with those issues later. But I wanted to get it started. So what I worked out with Larry is, and I've talked to several people around town. I talked to Scott Crisafulli. He's going to supply cones to block this off. The vendors would get in early. They would, certain vendors will allow to park their cars as you put out in the schematic, and they'll have their stands right in front of those cars. That will be the only parking allowed. Then it will be blocked off with the cones, only open to foot traffic. People actually coming in, we're gonna have to park elsewhere on the street, other lots, and just, you know, migrate over. And then when it's done, they'll break down, and they'll be done by 1 o'clock. I spoke to Mike Brashani about having trash receptacles. He's gonna do that. I said I'd work with him to make sure that the trash is, even if I have to bring bags or whatever and take it off-site, we'll do that. There's gonna be no electricity tied into the building. There are no outlets. So any vendors that would need electricity, because if they needed a small refrigeration unit, if we're lucky enough to have somebody that has, you know, that kind of product, they'll bring a compressor most likely. That's what
Generator.
Generator. Which is what they do in other towns. So that's pretty much it. Pretty simple in its, in the idea. The grassy knoll here area, grassy knoll.
I was just left Texas. I just came home yesterday, I saw it.
We were just talking about it yesterday. Somebody was asking about the man on the grassy knoll. But there's gonna be nobody allowed on there. We did wanna put a sign. Somebody from Signs Plus is gonna donate a sign, and I'm just gonna get, you know, wooden stake, if I could do that, and just say Farmers Market. It's a banner with the grommets. And that's it. But nobody's gonna be allowed to set up on the grass or anything.
Yep.
We figure, I was just looking at it too on the way in, we could fit 10 vendors in there really comfortably, and up to 20, and maybe even more than 20, but right now, I think we're lucky if we get 10. If we outgrew it, and each vendor has a 10 by 10 spot, vegetable farmers, we want to give a 10 by 20 spot, because they're kind of like the marquee attraction. And if it gets too big and it gets uncomfortable, we'll just move it. But if we're lucky enough to get 10 to 20 vendors, I think we'll be in good shape. And we just want to get it started and do something good for the town.
Okay. Let me read the staff reports. Town planner, the applicant requests a site plan waiver to authorize the occasional temporary seasonal use of the Easterly Town Hall parking lot for use as a farmer's market. The Board of Selectmen at their 8/5/13 meeting agreed to the proposed use. The market would permit primarily produce vendors along with possibly a limited number of other related vendors. The parking lot would be used for the farmer's market on Saturdays from 9 to 1, with setup starting at 8 and tear down until about 2. It's noted on the sketch plan, which is attached, vendor vehicles, if any, would be limited to 10 vehicles to be parked facing the building. The balance of the parking area would be available for the vendors for use of the tables, booths, and tents. It is anticipated the applicant will provide for traffic cones or other traffic control devices to be placed so as to block vehicle access to the lot during operation of the market. The grassed area between the parking lot and Main Street is not to be utilized for market use and is to remain clear of all obstructions. Therefore, I recommend approval of site plan waiver request. And David's already spoken to the use of the cones. Town engineer has reviewed the plan. Proposed change of use on the site includes the use of east side parking lot for a farmer's market. I have not identified any engineering concerns related to the proposed site use, with the exception of limited parking in the area for patrons. Additionally, the applicant should provide a detailed plan to manage the setup and cleanup of the parking lot so as tasks do not become the responsibility of the town. I think the selectmen will monitor that if that becomes an issue, but you've spoken to at least trying to address the trash concerns, which was one of my concerns. Conservation Commission doesn't require a filing. Fire Department has no objections. Highway Surveyor has reviewed the plan and finds it to be satisfactory. And with that, the last page shows the layout that David spoke to. Any questions from the board?
No?
Yeah, I have one day. Yeah, are you planning to have a policeman there? Because people like town meetings, if we park down near the town,
Right.
you know, the armory and stuff, so it'd be difficult crossing the street.
Right.
Especially during the day at that hour.
I did speak to the police chief, and I asked him if he thought one was gonna be necessary, but when I asked him that, we were talking about the lot down by Sacred Heart Church, and then in the meantime,
Right,
it
that
kinda
was the
changed.
second
But
place.
so he said, no, he didn't think it was necessary, but because I've changed this location, I will ask him again. Obviously, if you do that, that creates more cost for the
Yeah, but
town.
parking is difficult,
Right,
you know, there, actually.
so I'll ask him, but I can't give you a definitive answer as to what his response will be yet.
Okay.
But
Well, he
I'll
does have this side of the parking lot, and there actually is a few,
There's parking
Port
out in the
Street, and there's a
street.
few out
Yeah.
in front of the town hall
You
that
have
are
the
legal
traffic flare right there
spaces.
with the school.
Yeah, I mean, you
The school.
actually,
There's parking on the street as well.
Yeah.
you have the street lot, you have the lot across from the Armory, you have regular street parking. I mean, I can't imagine it's gonna be, it's not a carnival. I mean, it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Hey,
a.
David,
for this
best
site,
case
it'll be
scenario,
small.
it takes off, and then to your point, you move it someplace
Yeah,
else.
right.
But you know what, to his point, start someplace. and
It's not
move from
intended to
there.
be, you know, it would be great if everything would work out, but there are other locations in town, and I would have to come before you again, and
The only,
a lot more involved. to
the only change I
it.
would suggest is, because Larry wrote that the grassed area be not utilized for market use and remain clear of all obstructions. I think with him putting a sign there, it's kind of, with the exception of the sign, the only thing I'm gonna caution you on is from time to time, and since it's gonna occur on a Saturday, I don't know how you're going to, I don't know when you're gonna put the cones out, and I only say that because I think that there's some neighbors that occasionally on weekends will park in this lot. So if you're gonna utilize that, you may wanna work out some logistics with the the fire, or the police, and the highway surveyor on that. That's the only words of wisdom I can give to you.
That's a good point.
So, but if somebody's parking here, they're really not supposed to be there, right?
That's correct.
That's right. They-
So, I mean,
What are you gonna start knocking on people's doors, or,
No, but I'm-
you know, I'm just, that's why I said,
No, I'm saying
just work
for,
out that logistic.
for
Friday night
convenience
walk.
purposes, this was kind of one of the concerns I had at Sacred Heart. We could show up, everybody's ready to go, and there's people that park trucks and other things because,
Well, it's a
because
commuter lot.
it's a quiet use and, you know, it's
I
just
think
kind
that's
of there,
also a
but.
commuter lot too, isn't it?
Right.
So that's an allowable use down there. But again, I think you just need to work that logistic out of when you're gonna put the cones out in an attempt to try to prohibit such.
I was gonna do it on Saturday morning, because Scott said if he leaves them out overnight, they'll be gone in the
gone.
Oh,
morning.
yeah, somebody will borrow.
Well, then perhaps.
Well, you may want to monitor it just to see, even,
Well, the other thing you may want to consider doing is putting just caution tape across the entrance, perhaps Friday night, I'm assuming the town hall closes around, yeah, that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to kinda,
Right.
I guess, work around.
yeah, probably need to just be aware of it. I mean, you could end up with somebody being there. I mean, I don't know that, obviously, the town has the right to tow that person being in there. They don't have the right to be there. I just don't know whether that's gonna go over all that great either,
Right.
is
No, I don't
the only
wanna,
comment.
the best I can do is just get the word out.
Yep.
That the lot will be used, so if anybody uses it, please
Well, I
keep
think
it
with the
clear.
signage out front, I think that's probably your first shot. Advertising that that's what's going on this Saturday or what have you, then as people adopt the idea, then it's less prone to having any conflicts.
Right.
But like I said, I think if you even just put the yellow caution tape out across the drives, hey, it's worth a shot. Hey, get them from the police chief, say crime scene, maybe those are more effective, I don't know. Best of luck to you. With that, I'll make the
Thanks.
motion.
Motion to approve the site plan waiver. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by John. Motion was by Pat. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 4.
Thanks. Thanks to Larry, too, for your help. Okay, come down and buy a calzone and a tomato.
I need David, you want a copy of the, it's that one?
Waiver come.
You want me to sign?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
it's that one. I don't need to
David,
sign
do you want-
these?
Yeah, you can sign it.
It was funny, the first
Yeah.
one signed up seemed
Yeah,
to be a
sign,
waiver.
sign one of those.
I signed
just
one
did.
of those.
Oh,
Take a walk at them.
David. David.
Let's go to number 6.
I signed one while you're here. You can take that
What
with you
number
for your
6 now?
file.
Yep, number 6. Site plan waiver for 178 East Main Street on Wasan.
Anil.
Anil? Is there anyone here, Larry?
No, I know he was planning on being here. I don't know what happened.
He didn't make it.
Tell me to read this?
I'll go through it. Mason. The applicant requests a site plan waiver to authorize the change in use of the southerly 1,200 square feet of the existing commercial building for retail use. The latest change of use was never authorized, so the last authorized use of this space was years ago for the former insurance office. Parking lot restriping is recent with 2 van-accessible spaces being provided. However, only the space in front of the Miracle Ear shop has an accessible route to the sidewalk via a ramp. The space in front of Marty's Kitchen has no such access to the sidewalk. However, it should be noted that all obstructions have been removed from the sidewalk in front of the buildings. Therefore, I recommend approval of the site plan waiver request, provided the handicap parking space currently in front of the restaurant is relocated to be next to the other handicap space, with the existing ramp at that location to be used jointly for access to the sidewalk. Letter from the town engineer. I've reviewed the request for site plan waiver for 178 East Main Street submitted by First 178 Realty LLC. The proposed change of use of the site includes the conversion of commercial space to retail space. I have not identified any engineering concerns related to the proposed site plan use. Water company, filing with Conservation Commission is not required. Highway Department has reviewed and finds the plan to be satisfactory. Fire Department has no objections to the site plan. Water company reviewed the plan submitted and sees no conflict or issues proposed to the existing water utility infrastructure approvals as submitted. Company does, however, want to conduct a cross-connection survey of the premises. Please have the owner contact. I guess that's his responsibility, not necessarily ours.
No.
The Commission on Disabilities, Joe, I included their entire review because it has the photos that show the parking space in front of Marty's Kitchen that's labeled as a handicap space, but you can't get there from here. So that's why I was suggesting, and they were too, that the space be moved over to the one in front of Miracle Ear, because that has
Curb cut?
a shallower ramp up to the parking, or up to the sidewalk.
But with that, he also references there's some potted plants of
Right,
size.
and they've all been removed,
Okay.
all the way around, because the sidewalk had obstructions all the way in front of all the buildings, not just that particular photo shot, so.
Okay.
They've all been removed since this came through, so.
Okay.
So subject to him relocating that one space, which would include the proper striping on the parking lot, as well as an additional sign on the building in front of it, that should cover it.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the board?
I'll make a motion, unless John wants to.
No, I'm done.
Sorry.
Motion by Pat to grant the site plan waiver, seconded by John. I did have one comment. My recollection of this parking lot, as it goes
I
out
thought it
towards
all-
the corner, is half falling apart. So I'm not really sure that they have the total amount of legal parking spaces in terms of accessibility, because I don't think you can park in quite a few of them, because I think the front parking lot is, my recollection is it's falling apart.
Yeah, he's hoping, if he can get these spaces all leased out, he's hoping to come back and redo the lot and maybe close up some of the curb cuts, so, especially on the side street.
I guess my problem is that he's got a, I mean, he's got a site right now that, you know, I know my recollection is that quite a few of the parking spaces out here, except for the ones in front of the building, are non-usable.
Yeah, this is
And as he goes-
relatively new owner, so he was trying to get caught up, clean up the site, get it leased out, and then come back and redo the.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have no, I mean, he can get it leased out and we have no, I guess we could chase him, but it's always a pain when we're the ones chasing as opposed to,
Just have him restripe the entire parking lot.
well, it's not really the restriping,
Well,
it's,
he's
this whole
already-
section is.
He's already restriped it,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not the
it's
problem.
falling in, there's
It's
sections
resurfacing.
of the parking lot
Yeah,
that
it
are
has
they're
to be
falling apart.
fixed.
Okay, tell me it needs to be repaved.
Well, I mean, my only issue is how much of it is that bad, and what our, if we allow him to do this going forward, what steps do we have to take to have him fix it at some point in the future?
Well, let me just say this to you. I would have thought that Vonnie would have identified it. She said that there was no concern, so I'm kind of going by what she said. Now, I don't drive by there all that often.
I used to stop and talk to Dick when Dick was parking here, and I didn't see it.
Didn't see it?
Like
Maybe,
I said,
maybe,
I
maybe
don't
it's,
know.
maybe it's not as
That's
big as
the
I
only-
think.
That's the only time I've actually been there, is
Yeah.
when Dick was always used to park there, park in the middle, and I used to.
I mean, you have a legitimate concern, and I agree with you, but like I said, if the town engineer's telling you there's no concerns, then I'm assuming that there's no concerns. Now, we found that to be incorrect, well then. we're only-
Well, I mean, we always have the ability to go and ask the zoning to,
what,
if
ignore
parking
us?
spots, no, if parking spots are not usable, that
Right.
the owner has the legal responsibility to make sure those are responsible, so we can always send a letter to them in
Okay.
the future.
Yeah.
With that, all those in favor of the waiver of site plan? Opposed? Unanimous at 4.
And I'll tell him to watch the meeting on YouTube after it's posted, so he'll get the message.
ZBA special permit, 25 Whitney Street, Richard Carrier Jr. I guess there's no one here for that either, Larry.
No.
The applicant requests a special permit to allow for the addition of a supplemental apartment in the basement of the existing detached single-family dwelling on the subject property. Section 2.3 of the zoning bylaw provides for supplemental apartments by special permit from the zoning board of appeals. All applicable zoning requirements appear to be met, therefore I recommend a favorable report be forwarded to the ZBA.
I don't have a problem with it, but I want, a special permit should be made that it goes with the owners of the property, and once
It's
it's,
on a two-family, we're not creating a
Right.
two-family.
well, this is what happens, if it doesn't go and get registered,
No, the
Late-
bylaw requires it
Now it
to
does, yeah.
be with the owner.
Right.
It doesn't, so.
you know how many of those apartments that were done, that people are renting out everywhere?
Well, that may be, but the zoning bylaw already requires that it be the owner applicant only, and that the special permits repeat that. So then it becomes an enforcement issue and
I don't know, all the other towns don't have a problem, they put it on the deed, that it goes on the deed. Then when the lawyer looks at the deed, he says, no,
It's a single-family home,
all right.
that's what.
That's what it's gotta go, it's gotta go on the deed. If it doesn't go on the deed, the zoning bylaw, you can write zoning bylaws for the rest of your life, and it ain't gonna do any good.
But, well, it's an
Let's make that, look, you know what,
Oh,
Dave?
add that to the
Add
recommendation.
it to, and let's forward that on, under separate cover from Joe to the ZBA.
Yeah.
Well, no, I
Well, you can
was-
just send it as part of the decision.
Send it as part of the
We send
decision.
send a favorable recommendation to the zoning board with the
Provided.
stipulation that the,
I'd rather you
The-
sign it, though. Nothing personal, Larry, but I
Well, I don't sign them anyway, so.
Well, who signs
it's
it?
under my, it's under our signature. It's from
Yeah,
the board.
Karen sends the standard cover memo as to what the recommendation is.
Okay.
So the letter will just stipulate that our recommendation is that the,
On the deed.
yeah, that the special permit be required to be placed on the deed and to be carried by,
The owner.
the owner only, the present owner only.
Now, it says no changes to the exterior.
Right.
Which is proper for an in-law apartment. They have to have access from inside the building and not outside.
Well, I can't tell what the
I
mudroom is.
have one.
The mudroom looks like it might be access to the outside, but they're also showing
Well,
you,
that's
It's existing.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
it's
showing you the,
existing. Yeah.
That's an emergency exit.
Yeah, this is one of the better ones we've seen.
With that,
Babe did, Babe made the
they
motion.
made motion. Second,
I think Johnny was.
Yeah.
seconded by John. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed?
May I have your letter?
Unanimous at 4.
See, I thought I didn't want them just to see this, I wanted them to see
Yeah.
a separate cover, that's why I was saying that. That's all, I just wanted them to see separate cover.
Endorsed Mylars for 1 Railroad Street, Blair House Assisted Living Special Permit. Is that the last thing we have, Larry?
Is that what the
Well,
parking?
all of the rest of them to sign from
Yeah.
previously, yep.
Remember that was the special permit that was approved back in 2006 in the past.
Yeah, yeah.
So John Fernandes refiled it again as a, and I just,
Never brought him, I just apparently never brought him in to get signed.
Oh.
It's been quite a while.
You wanna, I'll make a motion to sign them.
Motion by Pat to sign the Mylars. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Babe. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous at 4. Considering that's the last thing we'll do, I'll also entertain a motion to
Is this John?
close the public
Yeah.
meeting so that we can just go ahead and sign the documents.
I make a motion.
Motion by Babe to close the public meeting. Hear a second?
What turn?
My turn. Second.
Seconded by Pat. Any further discussion, anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous at 4. Thank you.
Hey, guys, not that it's under your purview, but